in. Our top stories for tonight. Putrajaya to increase Sabah Sarawak special grant amount. Preliminary additional allocation approval given to upgrade Sabah and Sarawak CIQS. Bonuses for all civil servants will be tax-free, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim announced today. He said Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg brought the matter up in their discussions for civil servants in Sarawak, but after looking through it, he has decided to implement it nationwide. His announcement came after he chaired a meeting on the Malaysia Agreement 1963 MA63, also attended by Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Seri Haji G. Noor.
Bonus itu tidak tinggi. Jadi oleh itu bonus akan dikecualikan dari cukai. Dan ini terpakai atas usul Premier itu akan terpakai untuk semua pegawai perkhidmatan awam di semua negeri. Jadi walaupun dicadangkan untuk Sarawak, tapi ini terpakai untuk semua pejabat awam di negara kita.
In December, the Public Services Department JPA announced a special financial aid of RM700 for civil servants in 2023. Earlier, Datuk Seri Anwar announced that the special grant to Sarawak has been raised to RM300 million. He also said the Sarawak State Financial Secretary has been appointed to the Inland Revenue Board LHD and effective immediately. He added that he might increase the ceiling of RM50 million for projects in Sabah and Sarawak so that the states can decide and implement without Putrajaya's approval. The federal government has agreed to increase the amount of the special grant for Sabah and Sarawak under Article 112D of the Federal Constitution. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said, as the special formula for the annual grant has yet to be finalised, for a start, the Finance Ministry would raise the amount to RM300 million for Sarawak, while Sabah would receive RM260 million. He said the amount was only for the initial stage before a specific formula was announced by the federal and Sarawak government. The Prime Minister said the provision of the grant was decided by previous leaders who saw Sabah and Sarawak as lagging behind the peninsula during the formation of Malaysia.
Tapi peringkat awal ini kita beri sekitar dari 16 juta itu naik sekitar 300 juta ringgit sebagai suatu sumbangan, tetapi ini tertakluk kepada formula tetapkan. Apa kebijaksanaan formula? Mana jangan kita
Datuk Seri Anwar said while he is committed to reviewing the special grant, the federal government must also ensure the amount is reasonable given the country's current financial position. He said this after chairing the MA63 Action Implementation meeting at the State Legislative Assembly complex in Putrajaya today. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who is also the Finance Minister, said his ministry has given preliminary approval for an additional allocation of RM1 billion for the commencement of the work to upgrade the infrastructure and increase the capability of the Customs, Immigration, Quarantine and Security CIQS complex at Sarawak and Sabah borders. Elaborating further on the matter, Datuk Seri Anwar said the approval was given following his recent discussion with Indonesian President Joko Widodo regarding the relocation of Indonesia's capital to Nusantara, Kalimantan, which shares a border with the two Malaysian regions.
Maka kita telah putuskan untuk memberi peruntukan tambahan bagi penyediaan custom, CIQ, sempadan dari segi keselamatan dan meningkatkan upaya kedua-duanya. Custom, CIQ dan immigration, CIQ sebenarnya. Dan keselamatan, polis dan kemudian tentera, dan ketiganya prasarana asas seperti jalan raya. Kerana kita tidak patut dilihat terlalu daif. Ya.
He said this at a press conference after chairing the Malaysia Agreement 1963 and May 63 Implementation Action Council meeting in Kuching today. The meeting was attended by Deputy Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof, Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Seri Haji Jinor and several other federal and state cabinet ministers. The proposed establishment of a single border agency SBA to regulate the country's entry points is now in the final stage of implementation. Home Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail said the initiative, which had been planned since 2018 to replace more than 20 enforcement agencies, would emulate border agencies in other countries such as the United States, United Kingdom, Canada and New Zealand.
Yang membabitkan agensi kawalan sempadan. Kalau kita berhasil ke arah mewujudkan single border agency di mana kesemua fungsi agensi kawal selia itu kita satukan tanpa kompromis soal elemen keselamatan, tapi kita manfaatkan kepada teknologi. Kita ambil contoh best practices atau amalan baik di beberapa negara yang membabitkan agensi kawalan sempadan. Kita percaya itu adalah the right direction, arah tuju yang paling tepat untuk kita laksanakan.
On 30th July 2021, the Cabinet decided to establish an SBA to control the country's entry points following the issue of congestion at the Johor Causeway. The agency will be tasked to screen people, inspect goods and cargo, implement quarantine orders, and inspect plants and animals as well as food, carry out wildlife-related inspections, as well as private and commercial vehicles inspections, conduct health checks for disease control, and security enforcement. In a related development, Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution revealed that thousands of Singaporeans entering Malaysia through the Customs, Immigration and Quarantine Complex CIQ at Sultan Iskandar Building and Sultan Abu Bakar Complex at Iskandar Puteri will have the option of using electronic gates starting today. According to Minister, the automatic gates placed at the entry and exit points of the borders would benefit 30,000 to 50,000 commuters travelling from the Lion City to Johor Bahru daily. He described the effort as a quick win to speed up the flow incoming and outgoing traffic at the two checkpoints.
Tapi saya yakin dengan 16 laluan e-gate yang membolehkan digunakan, sudah pasti ianya ikut menyumbang kepada melegakan kesesakan. Tentang persentage terlalu awal untuk saya jangkakan, saya akan monitor mengenai data masuk sebab laluan ini adalah laluan masuk lebih 200,000 pengembara bagi setiap masa.
Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution said that previously, e-gates were only limited to Malaysian passport holders, but from today, the facilities can also be used by Singaporeans that have e-passports. He added the Immigration Department will also expand the use of e-gates to other low-risk countries, including Brunei, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, Australia and Japan. Malaysia's daily COVID-19 cases has remained below 500 since China reopened its borders on 8th January. In a statement today, Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa said the country has been recording 3-digit daily cases since 17 December last year. Dr. Zaliha said that according to a report, a total of 28,705 travellers from China arrived in the country between 8 and 17 January. So far, she said only one of the travellers was detected to have fever during screening. She said the travellers' RTK-AG test result, however, came out negative, and no travellers from China have tested positive for COVID-19 at Malaysia's international entry points so far. Dr. Zaliha further noted that the Ministry of Health would continue to monitor the development of infection in the country and abroad through information acquired from the World Health Organizations as well as cooperation with other ASEAN countries and China. She added the ministry will always ensure that prevention and control measures are implemented continuously. Coming up, efforts to increase foreign direct investment not just focused on profit.
Kecemasan, boleh saya bantu?
Hello, there's been a motorcycle accident here. Maybe an elephant ran it over.
Sir, there is fire accident at the address number 5 Jalan Tembika Shah Alam.
PGO from FRT Shah Alam, there was no fire accident here. Over.
MERS 999. Use it wisely.
Students in school uniforms aged up to 12 and people with disabilities will be able to enjoy free Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad KTMB train rides from 15 February. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said this initiative could be implemented through savings of 15 million ringgit a year following the suspension of the KTM commuter service between Subang Sky Park and KL Central effective from the same date. The free ride offer is for the Northern Sector commuter train services and Klang Valley, as well as the intercity services for the Gemas Tumpat route. According to him, this will also benefit 150 primary school students using the train services between Dabong and Kuala Gris in Kelantan daily.
Kita optimalkan peruntukan itu. Yang sekarang ini kita guna untuk Subang Sky Park, kita alihkan untuk perkhidmatan ini percuma kepada yang pertama untuk Pantai Timur, terutamanya di sektor di negeri Kelantan, di antara Dabong ke Kuala Gidis, yang tiap-tiap hari ada pelajar perlu gunakan kereta api untuk sampai ke sekolah. Kita tak tutup tambang. Begitu juga golongan OKU. Jadi golongan OKU kalau di Pantai Timur, dia OKU saja, ada kad OKU, kita akan bagi satu laluan khas, mereka boleh naik kereta api tanpa membayar tiket.
He said further discussions will be carried out to expand the free train rides for secondary school students after this, depending on financial ability. The Ministry of Communications and Digital KKD will focus on digital infrastructure and investment as well as data and cybersecurity this year. Minister Fahmi Fazil said the digital infrastructure aspect will focus on access to broadband facilities and telecommunication services, while digital investment is expected to drive the country's economic growth post-COVID-19, thus making Malaysia a digital hub in the ASEAN region.
Kalau sebelum ni kita banyak memberi fokus kepada pembinaan pusat-pusat pemprosesan data processing centers. Ke depan kita juga melihat kepada beberapa sektor yang lain dan ini akan diselenggara dan diselaraskan oleh MDEC. Ya, jadi ini antara yang penting bagi saya untuk kita bukan hanya memacu pertumbuhan ekonomi pasca COVID, pasca pandemik, tapi juga untuk melihat apa yang boleh kita lakukan untuk menjadikan Malaysia sebagai hub digital rantau ASEAN.
Speaking after attending the KKD Strategic Plan 2023-2025 and KKD Agenda 2023 Executive Meeting, Fahmi said among the focuses for digital investment include the Nomad Pass and the Dagang, which can indirectly bring in more new talents into the country. The road safety operation Op Selamat is not conducted during festive seasons to disturb road users but to ensure smooth traffic flow and reduce road accidents. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Director Datuk Seri Mat Kasim Karim said throughout the operation, members of the Royal Malaysia Police PDRM will be stationed at the locations that had been identified to assist road users and ensure their safety. Datuk Seri Mat Kasim was responding to an article published by a local newspaper yesterday which claimed that taking enforcement actions against road user during the Chinese New Year holiday will cause disruption. He explained that Op Selamat 19, launched in conjunction with the Chinese New Year celebration, would focus on hotspot locations that were expected to see traffic congestion. According to him, all PDRM machinery, including its personnel from the mobile patrol vehicles and motorcycle patrol units, would be mobilized to reduce traffic congestion on highway and state roads. He advised road users to obey all traffic regulations, but not cutting queues, misusing the emergency lane, and obstructing the traffic. He said public cooperation throughout the operation period from 18 to 27 January will ensure the comfort of road users and a smooth flow of traffic. The efforts made to increase the foreign direct investment (FDI) are not focused only on the aspect of profit. International Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said they also take into account the added values that can be benefited by the country, including in terms of job opportunities and investments in the new sectors. Explaining further, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said the reopening of China's borders is also expected to have a positive impact on trade activities, apart from the strengthening of the ringgit's value in line with economic growth.
Well, ringgit is floated freely, so it is markets that dictate the value of ringgit, and from the trade perspective, from investment perspective, as long as we are comparatively moving in the same direction with the basket of countries that are trading with us, we should be okay.
The International Trade and Industry Ministry is aiming to increase the foreign direct investment by 20% this year as compared to 194 billion ringgit recorded in the first 9 months of 2022.
Friendshoring, onshoring, reshoring.
Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah today presented a personal donation to 50 asnaf or eligible teeth recipients in Kuala Langkawi, Kedah. According to a post on the Istana Negara Facebook, the donation presentation ceremony was held at the Al-Hana Mosque. The region of Pahang, Tengku Hassan Al-Ibrahim Alam Shah and Tengku Arif Bendahara Tengku Muhammad Iskandar Riayatuddin Shah were in attendance. Also present were Langkawi District Officer Dato' Abdul Ghaffar Yahya, Langkawi Development Authority Chief Executive Officer Nasaruddin Abdul Muttalib, Langkawi Municipal Council President Tunku Iskandar Shah Tunku Muzaffar Shah and Langkawi District Police Chief ACP Syariman Nasyari. Earlier, Al-Sultan Abdullah performed Friday prayers at the mosque and later spent time mingling with the congregation. According to the Facebook post, His Majesty was very pleased with the people's friendliness and expressed happiness to be able to visit Langkawi. Al-Sultan Abdullah together with Raja Pemaisuri Agong, Tunku Haja Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria are on a 5-day visit to the district starting from today. Coming up in our foreign segment, no need for German-US tanks to be sent to Ukraine simultaneously. Sri Lanka expects to get China's backing for its debt restructuring plan within days to help unlock a $2.9 billion loan from the International Monetary Fund. A government official said this as India pledged further support to its crisis-stricken southern neighbour. The island nation of 22 million people has grappled with challenges during the past year, ranging from a shortage of foreign currency to runaway inflation and a steep recession, and is racing to secure a bailout from the IMF. Sri Lanka requires the backing of both China and India to secure the bailout from the IMF, but China has yet to agree to the deal. Deputy Treasury Secretary Priyantha Ratyanake said it is difficult to give details of the debt restructuring negotiations because of the confidentiality of discussions. However, discussions with China are at the final stage and they expect their assurances in the next few days. India has already told the IMF it strongly supports Sri Lanka's debt restructuring plan. Indian Foreign Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar, during a visit to the country, also told Sri Lanka it is committed to boosting investment in its debt-ridden neighbour. A massive fire broke out inside one of the last remaining slums in South Korea's capital today, forcing 500 people to flee their homes ahead of Lunar New Year holiday. Video posted online showed flames tearing through Guryong village, a shanty town in the shadows of high-rise luxury towers in Seoul's Gangnam district, which was made famous by rapper Psy's global hit Gangnam Style. As of last year, according to data from the state-run Seoul Housing and Communities Corporation, with many believed to be living with little or no proper sanitation. The village is about as far removed as possible from the opulent, glitzy world of Gangnam, an upscale district known for its luxury boutiques and apartments. South Korea is trying to tackle social disparity and last year moved to ban the cramped basement flats made famous by Oscar-winning movie Parasite after 4 people drowned in their underground homes during flooding. Germany's new defense minister Boris Pistorius said he did not know of any requirement that Ukraine receive US and German tanks simultaneously before a meeting today at which future supplies to Kiev will be discussed. Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government has not so far authorized the export of German-made Leopard tanks to help Ukraine in its fight against Russia, with sources saying Berlin would move if Washington agreed to send its Abrams tanks. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization and defense leaders from roughly 50 countries will confer at Ramstein Air Base, the latest in a series of meetings since Russia invaded Ukraine nearly 11 months ago. Scholz has been criticized by allies for his stance on sending modern battle tanks that Ukraine says it needs if it's fully to take the fight to Russians on its territory. An Art opinion poll showed, however, that Germans were split on the matter, with 46% in favour and 43% opposed. The split was especially acute within his own Social Democrats, 49% of whose backers said Germany should deliver. A German government source earlier said that Berlin had not so far received any request for a license to re-export Leopard tanks. Poland and Finland have already said they will send Leopard tanks to Ukraine if Germany gives approval for export. Berlin has veto power over any decision to export its Leopard tanks, fielded by NATO allied armies across Europe and seen by defense experts as the most suitable for Ukraine. Coming up in sports, professional athletes are also eligible for assistance under Gold Paris program. Inter-Commonwealth Melbourne City Wrestling MCW champion Iman Azman will spearhead Malaysia's challenge in the New Breed Wrestling Championships that will be held for the first time at the Quash Theatre, Taman Tun Dr. Ismail on 18th February. Iman, who's nicknamed the Golden Boy, will be joined by 9 local wrestlers to compete against 12 wrestlers from 5 countries, namely Australia, Singapore, the Philippines, Japan and the United Arab Emirates UAE. My Pro Wrestling MYPW Sendirian Berhad Director Datin Maria Abdullah Said Iman will be defending his championship belt against the wrestler from Singapore, Greg Glorious. She said MYPW is willing to cooperate with any corporate company to sponsor the championships and thus support the government's effort to involve youth or youngsters in sports activities like wrestling. Those interested in watching the wrestling championships can purchase their tickets online from today, and the tickets are priced at 80 ringgit, 100 ringgit and 150 ringgit. Iman captured the Inter-Commonwealth MCW title on 26 November last year, and last Saturday he continued his excellent performance by bagging the Running Elbow KL Gold title at the Puzzle Pro Wrestling Championship in Taiwan. On another note, Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh held a meeting with Football Association of Malaysia FAM President Datuk Hamidin Muhammad Amin to discuss matters related to national football development today. Datuk Hamidin, who shared the matter through a posting on the FAM Facebook page, said the meeting also discussed in further detail the latest in women's football, futsal, beach football and referee development. Their discussion also touched on the development of grassroots football and the National Football Development Program (NFDP). He said that apart from football, they also exchanged views and input on Malaysian sports-related matters in general. He also said that the minister not only showed an interest in football but also seemed to be an avid follower of sports overall. He added that Hannah was keen to know everything about the football and he managed to explain some to her. National athletes who turn professional will still receive the best support and assistance through the Gold Paris program in a bid to realise the country's dream of a first Olympic gold medal in Paris 2024. National Sports Council NSC Director General Datuk Ahmad Syapawi Ismail said all athletes with the potential to qualify or contribute a medal at the Olympics, irrespective of whether they are turned professional or are still with the national associations, will be given assistance under the program. However, NSC will first discuss the procedures or methods to help athletes under the Gold Paris 2024 program. He said so far, NSC has identified the athletes involved, but they cannot reveal their names for now. Dato' Ahmad noted that the assistance to be provided through the Gold Paris program would be part of NSC's existing podium program, but it will have a specialization in the preparation of the country's athletes for the world's biggest sporting event. The Gold Paris program will be divided into two groups of athletes, namely those capable of qualifying and those with the potential to deliver the gold medal. The names of the athletes listed under the Gold Paris program are expected to be officially announced next month. Dato' Ahmad Syapawi added that under the program, athletes with the potential to win the medals at the Paris Olympics will not only be assisted in terms of sports science and expenses, but also with the best of whatever they need. Alright, that wraps up news at 10. In our top story, Putrajaya to increase Sabah Sarawak special grant amount. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Stay tuned to saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.